starting today with some hang power cleans. It's supposed to be full powers or full hang cleans, but I don't really have the mobility for that. So we're going to stick with the power clean and its variants for now. So we're going hang power clean today. 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Working up to about, it's supposed to be 87%. I don't really know my one rep, obviously. Never really trained these. So just trying to get my feet a little bit more wet with these moves and just build from there. So we'll see. I always found it interesting that, especially like for me when I was playing baseball, people talking about, Olympic lift, Olympic lifts and their variants are pretty dangerous, and talk about like, the catch position and all that, and like what it entails. And I guess I get it to a point, right? But you think about you're ripping a baseball as hard as you can. It's like, if you can't really even just take the forces of a clean, even something as light as like 185, right? Why do you think you're prepared to, go as high velocity as you are when you're throwing a baseball? I always found that super interesting, and I get it. Like, yes, if you have shitty mobility and you don't move adequately, like, yeah, it's probably a problem. But I feel like there's deeper implications for me, right? I've never really had the front rack position, and I'm not saying that's like a huge indicator, but it's like a pretty big red flag that throughout my playing career, right, I just didn't have front rack mobility. And instead of working through like the latch, triceps, things that were pinning me down, I was just told front squat with a cross grip and, avoid stuff like this. And it's like, you know, don't spend time teaching the Olympic lifts. They take too much time. They're too technical. But it's like, realistically, people don't even teach time to move well in the front squat, right? Like, they don't even teach how to get into a front rack, things like that. It's like, it's all a tool, man. All a tool. You just gotta kind of know how to use it to your advantage. First rep there, probably catching it, a little bit too low. Kept a full grip on it. Definitely, felt what I was talking about earlier, just like that shitty low catch position. Probably something, yeah, that you got to work on, gain some ROM there. But like anything, man, doing stuff, especially like this, there is a skill component in it too. It's not just how strong you are, how much weight you can move, right? With anything, if you want to get better at it, it's the idea that you gotta like just do it a shit ton of times. That goes for any skill. So sucks to like feel like a beginner at something, but it kind of keeps things fresh. Like if you were good at everything, like shit would probably get like super boring to a point, right? So that's why I kind of like adding these in, especially learning them a little bit, is like keeps me, thinking about how to get better. And it's just like a novelty thing for me at this point. Like, of course I want to get better at them, but like, I'm not like dead focused, right? Like, weightlifting isn't ever going to be something I like compete in, at least for now. So it's like just messing around, getting a nasty stimmy from these, getting stronger in the meantime. Learning something that I've never really trained is like one way to kind of keep things, I guess, fresh for me. There comes a point when you're in the gym a lot, it's just super monotonous, and it's like this is a way to kind of like break that up for me. So that's kind of the big benefit of these for me right now, is like that's what's breaking the monotony up. So been pretty enjoyable. 185 here. Got my last 2 sets of 1 rep. Last week went 185, 2 singles, so I'd be happy with 185 again. Better technique. So I think that's what we're gonna go for. 185, better technique. If 185 kind of flies here, probably just add a 2.5 to each side, go 190, just get it up. Yeah, I don't know. First day filming. Doesn't feel as weird as I thought it would, but we'll see how I feel come a busy ass packed gym. You know, that might be a little different. Might be a little bit different when I move up to close grip bench here, the next exercise. So we'll see how that goes. But figured this is something I'm super uncomfortable doing. Just get it out there. You know, I talk to a bunch of people when I'm training anyway. It's like might as well reach larger audience here. So who knows what will come of it, man. But just want to do something else, something that I've never done before. It's kind of like what I said about these cleans, it's just like, and these Olympic lifts, it's like finding something else to put out there, you know. So we'll see how it goes. All right, not displeased with that. 185, moved a little bit better than I did last week. Felt a little bit more snappy, so load up 190 here. Ultimate goal, power clean, like 315, right? That's the ultimate goal. Just kind of like a marker to keep me a little bit more accountable with training these, and then just something fun to shoot towards. So not a huge number, but definitely think, you know, over the course of me training these, it'll get there. So that's something cool to shoot for there. But 190 here, see how it moves, and then go up and hit some close grip bench. Low-key kind of a dope day today. 1 single, 2 triples, 9 RPE. So we're gonna push a little bit on close grip, see how it feels. Probably gonna feel all right. Don't feel too fatigued. Starting to pull back the calories, pretty decent amount. So it'll hit me like a truck here soon. But right now, I'm feeling pretty decent. Like we can, you know, start moving some stuff. 225 moved pretty well. Don't really know what 245 is gonna move like. 225 is usually like my gauge when I get a little bit more into singles for like close grip stuff, and that's kind of like where I decide how big of a jump I want to take. So felt like it moved good enough to jump to 245 for my top single, and I'll try and back it down to like 235, maybe 230 for my working sets of 3 after that. Biggest thing here is just like following my RP. So got a 9 on the schedule today. For all sets actually, the single and the triples got RP 9. So I'm gonna make this one pretty heavy. Just want to make sure moving it well, and just, you know, just like keep chopping after it. You know what I mean? Like getting after it, hitting the intensity, just, you know, trying to grow this bench, trying to grow, you know, all of my pressing strength really. So this one's always fun for me, but always kind of like shitty, just because like the numbers aren't very good on them. Close grip here, going like middle of the thumb where the knurling meets the smooth there. So call that what you want. I wouldn't call that necessarily a 9 RP, so gonna move that one up to 250. 250 is stay there for the single, and then back down for my triples. So surprised that 245 moved that well, but hey, ain't gonna be mad at it. So we'll stay at 250 for the single, and then I don't know what the triples are gonna look like yet after that, but hey, not a bad start to some close grip bench work. 250 for the top single here. Gonna be a pretty good weight. I think this is probably a really good like number to stay at. I think any higher, right, like maybe 255 might be a little bit too much. If I had smaller change plates, I'm probably putting those on there, but 250, I don't see that being, a huge overshoot here, especially for RPE 9. So gonna be happy, with this top single here. So 250 moved pretty fucking well, if I do say so. So decided to go first set of 3 here. 235. I think this is going to be a fine weight as well. Hoping for 2 sets of 3 here. If I have to drop down to 230, 225, the next set, that's kind of whatever. But just want to make sure, I got the most out of this first set of 3. So wanted to go 230. Figured like, hey, let's push a little bit. 235, make them clean, grind them out a little bit, but still push that effort there. So 235, bit of a fucking grinder there. So decided to drop down to 225, make sure shit's clean. Still pushing the envelope a little bit, but think it would have just been too sloppy at 230. That's kind of like the point of starting this a little bit too. Is where I used to work, especially like in the baseball setting. People thought that if you didn't, hit all your same working weight for every set, right? So like say someone had like, keep it simple, 3 sets of 5, right? Say someone didn't hit the same weight for all sets of 5, right? If it wasn't prescribed, that's like pretty fucking okay. Like if you give pretty high amount of effort on your first set, right? I find it pretty hard to believe you can keep that same intensity with that same weight for your next set, or even the next 2 sets, right? Because there's a lot more that went into it. It was like they would go straight from their skill session into the weight room, right? You're already pretty fucking fried. It's like, don't expect that you can use the same working weight for all your sets, right? Like if you need to back off, make sure the reps are clean, make sure they're consistent, and still push the envelope. There's no fucking issue with that, right? Like I'm still getting a high quality stimulus here, and like first set for a single is at 250, right? So down 25 pounds. Even from the set of 3 that I just did, down 10 pounds, still going to get a pretty damn good stimulus from it. So, like anything, right? There's some growing pains. I'm kind of already feeling it here. During the close grip bench, my phone ran out of storage, so you guys don't get to see 225 for 3. Not that exciting, but first couple sets here, I kept hitting the little stopper, so just chop it up into like 10-second clips. So it's just like I said, man, growing pains, all that shit, as with anything. So just kind of keep doing more of the thing to get better at it. And obviously, like I said, this is something I've never really done, right? I've filmed clips, put up random clips of my lifts or, something like that, but never going in like a big public gym filming shit. So just gotta mess around with placement of shit, making sure the mic's working, making sure I'm not being a dumbass and clicking this a bunch of times. So finishing up here with some dumbbell RDLs. It's going to be my last set. And then I'll go to probably some seated leg curls and then some sort of overhand row variation. I'm supposed to have inverted row, which I could set up here. But it's looking like it's getting a little busy, so may just go pronated grip on the row machine and then finish off with some dumbbell lateral raises to round this thing out, and then some, just 30 minutes, 40 minutes of steady state cardio. I've been knocking back the cardio a little bit just because I've been walking home from the gym. So I'm adding about 4,000 to 5,000 steps to my daily total. So getting a little tired towards the end of the workouts. So I might just start splitting cardio into a whole different session. But yeah, dumbbell RDLs here, some sort of row, some sort of seated leg curl, and then side laterals and cardio, and they'll be good. I'm not necessarily like the biggest fan of inverted rows, potentially just because I suck at them. So that is like a determining factor in my bias there, I guess. But it's kind of good to some degree. Do some shit that I'm not very good at, get better at it. And the simpler it can be, right? Like a inverted row, you just have so much more room to progress from here, right? It's like if I can't even do a couple sets of inverted row well, right, might as well just stay with something like this for as long as I can. Start squeezing out all the gains that I can get from just a simple exercise, and then slowly start adding, complexity, whether that's, adding load, adding more distance, right? Like having more of a deficit with the feet, or more of an incline with the feet, creating a larger deficit, whatever it is. Play the simple game for as long as you can, right? Generally just don't get much easier the more I do them. So I don't really know, when I'll be able to graduate from something like a fucking inverted row, but only time will tell, I guess. That's kind of the thing. Maybe I don't need to graduate from it for a while. Still reap a ton of benefits from it. Not necessarily a bad thing. Probably pulling a little bit too high on my rows here. Gonna scoot this plate back, make the change, try and pull a little bit below the logo on my shirt here. That's why it's kind of good to video some shit while you're lifting too. Is like pretty easy to make those like intra exercise modifications. So that is one benefit of having the camera out for the whole lift, is you can review some stuff, make those quick changes, and get a little better stimmy. So last set here, cleaning the technique up a little bit, and then we're gonna move on. Seated leg curl is absolutely fucking goated. My favorite accessory, to grow the hamstrings. Not necessarily programmed for me, but something I will add in today just because I had those dumbbell RDLs. Already kind of did some sort of like pulling move with the hang powers, and just figured like why not, like just a way to get more stimulus to the hammies. And a slight benefit right now is that it's open, so got to take advantage of it while we can. So that's the dope part. Definitely don't have to add a shit ton of weight, right? Just make sure you're moving through a good range of motion, keeping that pelvis locked down, making sure that knee stays where it's at and it's actually bending from the knee, not trying to, like shoot the hips forward and try and like get a shit ton of weight down, right? Use the machine for what it's intended for. Work through the proper ranges of motion, right? And growth is just that much better with it. So that's like the biggest thing. Hypertrophy, the goal, takes something decently close to failure, right? It's pretty hard to recover if you go to absolute failure on every exercise, but be pretty damn close to failure, right? If the goal is hypertrophy. Right there, I think I went eight, maybe missed on 9, right? So kind of want to stay at least what I see a really good response with these hamstring curls is somewhere between like 8 and 15. So I'm probably going to drop the weight a little bit here, try and go for another 9, 10, and work for one more set. I'm only going 2 sets here, taking both of them basically till failure. So one more set here, driving it to, like I said, right before failure. And that's basically all I need, right, to see pretty substantial growth, especially using this is like 2 sets, hit them hard, and we're good. Dropped weight, failed there. A couple reps short of where I wanted, but still got that 8 rep, so feeling all right there. So finishing up the session with some dumbbell laterals, 3 sets of those. Didn't necessarily just want to put those in. because they're obviously pretty fucking boring to watch. But wanted to end today's training just kind of saying that everyone has a beginner's mindset when they're starting something new, and this is ideally like what I'm talking about is feeling like that beginner, having those beginner skill sets, and almost feeling like you don't want to start something because it's not perfect. And that's how I feel kind of putting this stuff out there now. I'm not new to the gym, I'm not new to training, right? Been around it, not an expert by any means, but it's just now coming in, filming everything, talking, feeling like I'm fucking talking to no one, but simultaneously feeling like I'm having these conversations regardless. Um, I don't know. I don't know. The point really is just being like, it's okay to be a beginner. You're not going to have shit figured out. And this is kind of my way of jumping into a beginner's mentality. I tell people like, just fucking start. There's no right way or wrong way. You just got to start getting into it. And I think that's ultimately it for me when I think about filming this shit. I don't really want to do it because I like have that like I don't really have a voice. I'm not like an authority figure in the space, right? But fuck that, just start whatever it is, right? Like just start and learn to evolve it along the way, right? Doing something as a beginner and getting better at it, like that journey is what it's about. It's not about being perfect on the first go around. So that's kind of the reason for this for me is like, yeah, spread awareness, get myself out there, sure, but also make it a way to where I can get into that beginner's mentality and learn how to just be fucking better at something that I'm definitely not used to doing. So yeah.